Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Hey, Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate anybody asking me on these podcasts.
No, man, this is great. This is great. And as I think I've interviewed 2 or 3 other folks here from Tennessee. It's always good to interview fellow Tennesseans.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, the basic flow of the show is always, where'd you start? Where are you now? And how'd you get there? Can you kind of give us that brief overview?
Yeah. So I started in Nashville. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Started doing real estate, flipping, buying duplexes in 2005, 2006. I was, the ripe old age of 25, 26 when I started doing this. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, and have just kind of figured it out throughout the years. So I started buying duplexes, maybe like a lot of people, with partners from California, and my role was kind of the management role. So I tell people I kind of started syndicating when I was 25. Didn't know it was called syndication or joint venturing. But I used my time. They had money. We kind of merged those together. So started buying duplexes, and it scaled up. Now, 15 years later, I've got about a $30 million portfolio with a small group of investors. Still actively buying, and selling our own stuff, but also in 2010, we started this brokerage firm. I kind of saw a need here in Nashville for somebody who brokered small to mid-sized multifamily. So I tell people we're kind of a hybrid between a residential agent and a commercial agent. There's this kind of space in there. And so to date, we're probably closing in on about 600 transactions from that size. Our geographic location is kind of from Knoxville over to Jackson, Tennessee, and then Hopkinsville, Kentucky, down to Huntsville, and then all places in between. Every small town in Middle Tennessee that has an apartment building or a duplex, I probably know the owner. I've talked to them or even done a transaction. So that's kind of a quick overview of where I've gone in the last 15 years. As an investor, as a multifamily broker. So learned a lot, so we can dig into that.
Yeah, no, I'm curious. I mean, so if you started off buying your own assets and you see the value of being the buyer, what in your thinking led you to say, all right, now I'm going to broker stuff off? Because most of us have figured out, hey, that if we're going to be the buyer, we're not going to sell off these great deals to somebody else. So why did you open a brokerage?
Great question. And I hear people, I'm waiting for the crash. I'm waiting for the crash, right? That's what I keep hearing. I'm going to wait to buy. People don't understand how bad it was during the crash, and there was no money available.
Right.
Deals abundant, no money. Unless you were, worth, 7 figures plus and had liquidity and W-2s, you weren't getting a loan. And that's where I was. I had been a self-employed, real estate investor, agent for 4 or 5 years. No bank was giving me loans on this stuff. I mean, I saw people. I have one client, a story I tell. I had a client buying this great flip house in the middle of all that, and the bank gave him 20%. He had to bring 80% down. Okay. So if you think that, the money's just going to keep flowing and there's going to be this huge abundance of deals, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. It didn't happen back then. Real estate was a toxic asset. My banker told me it will be easier, Dave, for me to give you a loan on commercial equipment like bulldozers and kitchen equipment than a cash flowing duplex at that time or small apartment building. That still in that time would have been spitting off a 30% cash on cash return with no question. So that's where it kind of like, how do I seize the opportunities and these opportunities I'm seeing? Because I knew they were opportunities. I just was not prepared to buy them at that point in my career. I was, 27 and I had, $20 million in real estate that I really didn't even know what I was doing at that time. So nobody was giving me more loans, and I hadn't learned about, syndication and raising capital at that point either. So I just said, how can I make money off these deals, right? And the first logical thing that came to my mind was, hey, let's broker them. And so I found a few very, very well-to-do people that could see what I was seeing, and they just, they started buying up. And, we were selling 60, 70 of these properties every year. And it made me a good living. It kept me in the business. I was kind of at that point in my career where it was like, I have this big portfolio of multifamily properties that aren't cash flowing just because of where we were and loans and all that. And it was like, I get a day job to support my family, or this is my day job. Right. So I tell people, and even today, like my multifamily, it's a slow cooker. It's a crock pot. It's my retirement fund. This is my day job. A lot of us, in the industry, even if you're a syndicator, your day job is syndicating deals and getting, acquisition fee, right? And so if you're not buying more deals, so a lot of people, I don't think that concept. They think they're just going to buy this multifamily and live off the cash flow. Mostly in this market, it doesn't happen. So this is my day job. This is what pays my, my payments on my fund toys and my living expenses.
Right. No, that's interesting. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Yeah. For those of us who are active syndicators, that is our day job, is acquiring more deals. So we're all working, and that's not necessarily a negative thing. What the Nashville market has exploded in the last, 7-8 years now. Walk us through what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, so back to 2009, 10, I was selling duplexes for $67,000, $70,000 in East Nashville that were, at that time, we're bringing in maybe $700 a side. So, right, $70,000 a duplex, bringing in $1,400. Cash on cash was 30%. Now those duplexes, we're getting ready to actually list a huge portfolio for a client. Those duplexes are $399 now. 400,000, and they're bringing in 1,200, maybe a unit, 1,100, so 2,400 on a 399. But what's happening, and so when we were in this business, back to the cash flow, we were selling on cash flow. It was like, go run your numbers and tell me what you can pay for it, because this is going to be a 25 or 30%. And that's what we were selling. Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. Never in our mind would we think a duplex in that area of town would be worth $400,000, right? We never sold it that way. We just sold it as like, hey, buy these in, a couple of years, it's paid for itself.
Sure.
And so now we're seeing, again, just the explosion of growth in Nashville. That duplex is worth 400 because of the dirt, right? Somebody will probably pay $399 for that duplex to bulldoze it and build two, tall and skinnies on that lot. And that dirt's worth it, because those will sell for, $600,000 each in that part of town. And the scarcity of those lots, has just driven those prices up. So if you're an investor looking for maybe cash flow in multifamily, Nashville's, the core is not your place. And so that's what we're doing right now. But yeah, Nashville's just exploded. I mean, I think I just saw, this is being recorded on the 20th of January. U-Haul just said, I think we are the number one, state for U-Haul trucks coming into Tennessee. So, Nashville's just, and what we've seen now is I call it the Nashville effect, right? Now a radius of 40 miles around Nashville, it's exploded. Some of these small towns, people are having to go further and further out to find affordable housing, which again is just push those rents, up in some of these small surrounding communities.
Right. How do you decide then what you want to hold and what you want to broker?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I get that a lot. Joe Fairless and I talked about that. I broker smaller stuff than I'm buying. So I'm not in the market right now for a two unit or a 5 unit or a 25 unit. I'm looking for 50 and above, probably 50 to 100. And I've had to be very careful with that. I tell people I disqualify myself automatically when somebody calls us to broker. So if somebody calls and says, hey, Dave, I want to sell my 50 unit or 30 unit, I just automatically disqualify myself. And I think I've built that reputation over 10 years of I'm not competing against you buying this if I got an incoming call to broker something.
You're saying if somebody wants to list an asset with you, you're not going to make an offer on it?
No, I can't. Because when they make that first phone call, they're disclosing they're pretty much kind of putting me in that, fiduciary responsibility of being their broker, telling them what I can get for the property. And those numbers might be different, right? What I want to pay for it and what I think it will sell for. I'm not going to pay $399 for a duplex downtown East Nashville.
Sure.
My offer would have been different. So, it's been one of those things where, now I've got 3 agents working for me. I'm kind of trying to pull myself back from the brokerage firm, raise capital, look at bigger deals. But, we're looking at deals. I've got one down in Pensacola, Florida that I bought 4 years ago. I'd love to add to my portfolio down there. We've looked at, just other markets. That's what I wear the hat of a broker, but then I wear the hat of a buyer as well. So I'm calling on brokers, trying to get brokers to send me deals, get on their list, doing all the same things that, we try to teach our clients how to get on our list. So it's interesting some days, let's just say.
Right. I think that would take a lot of discipline to pass. If somebody called you with a 50 or 100 unit building and they said, "Hey, this is what we're thinking." I mean, the opportunist in most of us would probably be like, "Well, I can buy that from you."
Well, and there's been a lot of brokers firms. I'm not going to, firms in the past that have kind of tried to do that, and they gain that reputation, and it ruins them. And so I know a lot of good ones there. That the ones I've learned from, the best of the business, I feel like kind of take my stance. Like anything that is on our plate to broker, we just as much as we want to be part of it, we just can't, because it would just one of those, doing that one time could just ruin, I guess, our reputation
right,
for the long term. So it's just not worth it.
Yeah, and people could always accuse you of some sort of manipulation or something else. I mean, there's plenty of real estate commissions who are more than happy to find fault where there was none and assess large fines that maybe just aren't worth the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So yeah. That's fascinating. What are some things that you see buyers doing or sellers doing, either correctly or incorrectly right now, that they could help kind of improve this process?
Well, I mean, we're different than maybe your large national ones because we deal with a lot of mom and pops, right? So, I mean, we see it all. I mean, we see, these mom and pops that just don't keep records, don't have leases, their documentation, it's a nightmare. We're having to create P&Ls for them. We're having to give them leases. We're having to, try to clean up all their stuff. Before we take it to the market, or during the due diligence time, we oh, by the way, I don't have leases on those 10 units. Oh, by the way, I've never been in those 10 units and you can't get into them either. We were working with a seller out of Jackson, and we put the properties under contract for a buyer, and he said, well, they can't inspect them. I didn't do that. When I bought them, why would a buyer want to come and walk all the units? So very, very unsophisticated, which is fine. I mean, we've done this long enough that we kind of take that hand holding process, and we really do enjoy that. Helping them out, and that's kind of what makes us different. Is I think I can almost foresee those problems coming, so we try to jump ahead of them. We've got on our website buyers and sellers guides, things that you need to have. Buyers, again, they've gone to too many seminars. They've listened to too many podcasts. No offense, but I'm only going to buy on actuals, and estoppel notice. I need an estoppel notice and all this, and a garbage. I'm like, man, we will help you, but you got to trust that we are here to assist you in this transaction. We again built our reputation on really helping people. I tell people I have a vested interest that you're successful, right?
Sure.
I want you to buy from us and keep buying from us. So I don't want to pull the wool over your eyes one time and get you to buy something. We're looking to build long-term relationships with people. And so those people that, come with that kind of, want to learn attitude to us are the type of people we're really looking for. And we can kind of pick and choose. I think that's a lot of things that buyers think that they're the only ones that have money, or they're the only ones looking at this. And you kind of laugh, I used to go, I had a guy call me, I have $1 million. I don't give a crap. Like I got a whole buyer's list of people who are very wealthy and have experience, and I don't know who you are. So gaining the trust of brokers, I think, is huge. You're not just going to call them one time and they're going to send you the best deal, right? Building relationships. Right now, I'm trying to teach my agents to get on the phone, really understand what buyers are wanting. And some of these buyers are like, well, I don't have time to do phone calls with you. Just send me your deals, right? Well, they're not going to get our deals. I mean, we don't even know what they're looking for. We don't even know who they are. And you're asking us to trust our paycheck to you, that you won't even spend 15 minutes getting to know us on a phone call. Those are kinds of things that we see constantly. And that's fine. I mean, if you don't have enough business sense to start building relationships with people, you're just going to go, into the masses on an email list, and you'll never see those off-market deals that we get first.
Right, right. No, that's absolutely fascinating. Yeah, that I can only imagine. Especially coming from a broker's perspective. Everybody's got their own kind of, I don't even know how to put it, pet peeves in the industry. But that sounds like that's one that as buyers that we could do a better job of. Like you said, spend time on the phone with you. What are some other things that we could do to improve the buyer broker relationship? Or if I wanted to start a new relationship with you, other than spending 15 minutes on the phone and kind of telling you what I'm thinking, how do you quote unquote develop that relationship, as you call it?
I mean, I think follow up, I think that's the biggest thing. I have people that will call me, one time a year. And again, they expect me to just, remember that they're looking for that type of asset. And them, and I don't know, everybody, timing is huge in this business, right? A guy that has a bunch of money today might not have it tomorrow. Something might have come up in his business. I mean, it's ever flowing and ever changing. So just letting me know, hey, I've got money. I'm selling this. I'm refinancing this. I'm going to have this capital, helping us. We're always trying to advise people just to like get with us and let us help you plan. Right. So if you're getting ready to sell, contact us now a year in advance and say, hey, what do I need to do to clean up my books? Or, are there any improvements? Or if you're looking to buy in the next 6 months, hey, here, I'm getting ready to do this cash out refinance. I'm going to have a bunch of capital. Here's what I'm looking at, and we will help you. We just connect people and properties, right? So I was just showing my agents this the other day. We got a long list of off market and on market properties, and we have all these buyers, and we're just trying to connect everything and connect dots. And so, the more you can help us, really narrow in what you're looking for or what you're trying to do, in the future with planning, is a key as well, I believe.
Right. No, that's great advice. That's great advice. So yeah, I mean, because a lot of times I think that is exactly what we think. We're like, oh, well, I talked to Dave, 3 months ago. He should remember. And that's
we get even from podcasts like this, we get people, leads after leads after leads every week. We put on a lot of meetups. If you're ever in Middle Tennessee, we do a lot of meetups. We'll have 50 people tonight at our meetup, probably, and they're all looking for property, right? I mean, I'm getting, so we're getting bombarded. So again, come, make the effort to get to know us, right? Come to our office, meet with my team. Those are all things that are going to kind of put you at the front of the list and at the front of our minds when that asset that, works for you perfectly pops up.
Right. And in its own right, it's kind of a backwards business relationship.
It absolutely is backwards. Everybody thinks that I'm the buyer, I'm the customer. You gotta flip that thinking completely around. And essentially, and I'm telling you this because I do it, wine and dine that broker. He can make you a ton of money. I can't mention his name on this call, but or $700 million of multifamily last year. He said that to me. That agent that you're talking about, he can make you a ton of money, right? So, I have to wine and dine him. I have to, get him to think that I'm the best buyer. I'm the guy that's going to, protect his commission. I'm not going to jerk him around during due diligence. And so you really have to flip that thinking around, when you're in this market, right? That's the kind of market we're in right now. Maybe if the market changes, the roles reverse. But right now in where we are in multifamily investing nationwide, I absolutely think that's the case.
Yeah, we're buyers and credit to dry up, and buyers weren't a dime a dozen, then maybe like you said, that role may flip. But as it is right now, it sounds like there's way more buyers than there are good deals out there. So you're gonna have to make yourself stand out, like it or not, that your acquisition or your purchase covers that broker's paycheck. That's irrelevant. The fact
another thing too, it's not always about the you were the highest offer.
Right.
The best buyer is not always the highest offer. It's the guy that we know can get it done. He's got his banking lined up. He's got references. He's organized. I can call and check on his lending. I know he's got property management. I know he has experience. I know he has localized knowledge. He's got a team in place. All those kinds of things go into, helping us or the seller make a decision on who they're, what offer they're going to choose, or even if they're going to work with you at period.
Right. Yeah. And if you're listening to this, rewind this 20 seconds and listen to what Dave just said and write all those things down, because those are all things that will help you get this deal across the finish line and put you really ahead of the pack. Dave, let's jump into the final four here if we can. Take everything distill it down to one piece of advice. You're giving it to an aspiring investor. What would that piece of advice be?
Oh man. I don't always think bigger is better. I would much rather own a 50, 100 unit all by myself than do these huge syndications. I see a lot of people putting time and effort into a little tiny piece of that sliver. And so, I'd say, come back, look at some of these smaller deals. I think, you own more of it, and B, you don't have to, work with, fellow investors as much. And, more people you get in the pool, it's difficult, making business decisions with partners. So I would say, step back and look at some of these smaller deals that maybe you can take down with, less people.
Right. No, I love that. What's one thing you're currently doing to stay on top of your game?
Oh man, educate yourself. I have something I didn't do in the beginning that I wish I would have is spend the money on coaching or mastermind groups or, any kind of networking things that you can get your hands on, just absorb, be a sponge. 15 years into this, I still, I'm doing all of that stuff. Business coaching, the next generation for me, and I'm also receiving coaching all the time.
Right. No, that's great. When it comes to giving back, what's one thing you're doing to make the world a better place?
Oh man, I think this kind of goes with our multifamily. Take good care of your tenants. We have, canceled and not work with slumlords, right? I want to see my landlords, my investors, and myself take really good care of tenants. I think they deserve that. I don't think there should be, I think the laws should be there, but I think we should go above and beyond of taking care of these tenants that have taken care of us and helped create my wealth.
Right. No, that's absolutely true and awesome. If our listeners want to get in touch with you, how do we go about doing that?
Yeah. So RIA-inc.com. So RIA-inc.com. Go there. You can listen to all the podcasts I've been on. All my contact information's on there. I always do this ever since I think Rod Cleef was the first podcast I did almost 5 years ago. Give out my personal cell phone number at 615-479-8737. Feel free to reach out to me, text, call. I will get back to you, within 48 hours, or somebody on my team if you're looking for multifamily around here. Again, if you're in the Middle Tennessee area, I'd love to connect with you. We're doing meetups all the time. We have one tonight in Brentwood. Always bring in speakers, or always doing everything educational. You'll walk away with some kind of nugget of knowledge. So again, call my cell phone, 615-479-8737.
Awesome. Dave, thanks so much for your time. Certainly appreciate it.
Absolutely.